closed its offices due to the pandemic and doesn't expect to reopen until June at the earliest. So what should people who need those services do now? CBS NLE's Leslie Marine spoke to an immigration law expert.
Right now, I'm joined via Skype by immigration attorney Andrea to discuss these issues. Thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us. We know that obviously a lot of DACA recipients right now are working on the front lines in our hospitals, and we also know that applying for a green card and citizenship are milestones for people. So how are these closures affecting the application process?
Well, these closures, I mean, they're still processing the applications. So really, we're looking at just excessive delays, which we're already experiencing anyway, unfortunately. So now there's just more delays because in order to get a permanent resident card, you need an interview, and they postponed all the interviews. And you also need, unfortunately, you need to get your biometrics, your fingerprints taken, and they postponed that. So now we're just looking at further delays, and we don't know where this is going to end up. And we'll have to just wait and see once they reopen where we're going to be. So we're kind of a little bit premature to decide how much more of a delay there's going to be in the future.
Yeah, and you touched on this, the fact that we already see pretty big delays in this process. Are we talking year delays, possibly? More months?
Well, I mean, even our citizenship processing is taking already a year. So you can imagine what's going to happen after this. So because they're going to have to make up for all those interviews they canceled before they actually get to the ones that are filing right now. So the backlog is basically building and building right now. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's just say right now it's about a year delay for, let's say, citizenship or permanent residency, and especially California is taking about 7-8 months. So we can just probably predict that it's going to be a little bit longer than that as we get back into it.
Wow, yeah, it's a tough process. We also know that many people who have green cards, their green card may expire or may be set to expire soon. With these offices closed, a lot of people wondering, what can I do? So what can they do?
Well, the good news is that USCIS actually this past week has come out and said that if you have a green card expiring, your permanent resident card is expiring, and you have filed for an extension already, you can call the contact center and actually schedule an appointment to get an extension. And what they do is they put basically an I-551 stamp in your passport, and that's kind of like an extension of your permanent green card. But remember, you can only do it for emergency situations. So if you have international travel coming up, you need it in order to keep working. They're still discussing if DMV renewals, like of your driver's license, will be covered during that, this like temporary situation of allowing for temporary extensions.
Yeah, a lot of what ifs right now, but we do know the president did issue an executive order to shut down most immigration. So how has that affected these processes?
I think it's caused extreme fear in the whole immigrant community around, not only in the U.S., but around the world. But the good news is, and something that everyone needs to keep really in mind, is that the executive order is very limited. It feels really expansive, but it's really limited to only individuals that are outside the United States that don't already have immigrant visas in their hands. So if you already had an immigrant visa in your hand before the April 23rd deadline when it started, the executive order, then you're okay. And also there's quite a few exceptions to the rules. So if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you're coming in on a visa or you're applying for a visa for that reason, or if, let's say, you're a medical professional, those people are accepted to that rule. So if you're in the United States and you're trying to adjust your status from a non-immigrant to an immigrant and get a permanent resident card, then you're fine. The executive order doesn't affect you at all. And we hope that after 60 days it doesn't get extended and we're all good. So for right now, everyone in the U.S. is safe and fine, and everything continues as normal, except for the delays, of course. And outside the United States, unfortunately, a lot of people are stuck until the 60 days is over, and we have to wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, speaking of waiting to see what's going to happen, several House Republicans did send a letter out to the president requesting him to expand those restrictions on immigration for months or even years. Do you think that is going to be possible?
Well, we can keep our fingers crossed that that doesn't happen, because that will be devastating to not only the U.S., but the worldwide market. I mean, we depend heavily on H-1B workers in the United States, and that's where that actual letter was directed towards, is professional workers coming in. And a lot of people don't understand the fact that the H-1B workers are not necessarily taking the jobs of U.S. citizens. So a lot of those jobs that are being filled are jobs that we wouldn't be able to fill with the people that are unemployed now, unfortunately, because we would love to put those people in those positions, but a lot of those positions are really filled by people, that we need them because we don't have anyone else to fill those positions. So taking it down that route is going to be devastating for our economy and our competition in the world right now.
Right now, we know we see this come up every once in a while. Are there any immigration scams that people should be watching out for during this unprecedented time?
Absolutely. I mean, that's always something that we're afraid of. Us immigration attorneys are afraid that people are going to fall into these scams of people saying, oh, well, don't worry, we can get you a green card, or, we can get you out of this if you just pay us X, Y, and Z. I would definitely make sure that you vet anyone that you talk to. Make sure you call them. Make sure you look online. There's so much information out there to find out if something is really the case. You want to make sure that you check with USCIS.gov, which is the official government website. And you can check with the Immigration Lawyers Association, AILA, and you can also check with lots of other bar associations just to make sure who you are talking to and getting advice from is really a legitimate person that's licensed by the state bar.
Definitely. And with all these offices shut down right now, what's that one point of contact you feel that people should be going to if they need help navigating this complicated process?
I mean, I think that the best place to go is USCIS.gov. I mean, that's the source of the information. And I think any other government website. I mean, there's a lot of confusing information out there, especially around the executive order. You can go to, lawyers' websites like mine or anyone else to check to see what they're saying and how they're breaking down what's going on. But I think it's really important that you stick to the government websites and to attorney and professional websites that have legitimate, clear information.
Yeah, I think it's important to make sure we have the facts as you gave us today. You said a lot of confusion, but as long as people have those facts, they should be okay. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrea.
My pleasure. Thank you.